Hello, welcome to another day in the motor house and working on the 7 still. I think this would probably be episode 11. And I think in the last episode I kind of ended it not knowing where I was going to go next. What was the next big thing to do in the restoration? I'd say sorting things out. So I decided, as you're seeing in here, to work behind the dash, work on the electrics, and sort that out. So with the car on the carrier frame, the body on the frame, I lifted the front of it up on some stands, which makes it so much easier to get in and work under it, because when the car is low, it's difficult to get under it. If it was higher, it'd even be better to get my head underneath the dash and look. But this is doing well. Last night I removed the heater and started dismantling some things. I'm going to pan around for the heater here. And it is a very tiny heater. Fan does work, which is good. Interesting things. So it's basically just a manual flap to go from defrost versus feet, we'll say. Or knees, in the case may be with this. It's a tight fit getting it out, so I'm sure it'll be a tight fit getting it in. And the fins here are bent over a little bit more. These are fairly open, these are bent over, but it also has a hole here, and this is directing hot air to the driver by way of underneath the middle. So we'll come back over here, and so it fits up. You can see the recess that's been built into the center tunnel for it to fit in there. And get you a nice look behind the dash as to what's up there. I don't have any plans at the moment to take the windshield wiper motor out. I'm not sure I need to, but if I need to I will, but I don't have any plans at the moment. So let's go over some stuff on the dash. The cigarette lighter, I had to get coordinated here. The cigarette lighter, the power lead was disconnected, and this other lead, white, which I don't think it should be white, because this was there in the dash. Being disconnected, had a lot of dirt in it, so I'll sort that out when it goes back. This is a lamp, and one wire, this one white wire was to ground, and the other white wire, let's see, there's this. See how it's just coming off the ignition switch there? And you see that other tie? That goes over there to it. So I'm not sure if it's basically telling you you're charging or you're not charging. I got to figure out the purpose of the lamp. And say your ignition is on. I suspect it is an ignition light, but I'm not sure. Of course, there's no publication that I have at the moment. Of course, if one of you guys has it out there that shows what the switches actually did, but I'm sorting through them. So, right side here, which is, let's see, this switch with it's pinned. This would be your headlight. And the rocker switch, and it's very stiff. It needs to come apart and be cleaned. And the other one is a 2-speed wiper, and these are, let's see if it'll come up to Budnella switches, which I hadn't seen before, but they kind of look like the Jag switches, and let's see, XJ6 and the Lotus Elite switches, which inside their rocker pieces, and they tend to get dirty in there, get corrosion. They can come apart and be cleaned. I did find a couple of switches online for parts. How's that? But they're used, and let's go from there. Let's see if I can show it here. The hole in the center there is just simply a toggle switch, which is for the heater fan. And I'll come around the other side here. Well, let me take something with me. I forgot to bring the flashlight. Let me grab the flashlight here. Some of this is also for me to know what to connect back, how this goes, how this is wired back. Now, lower was basically, this is, sorry, gotta get it in the frame of the camera. Hazard switch. But the hazard switch will basically say it's in pieces. But that's a standard switch out there, still available. And I'll see about getting another one. Back to the ignition switch. Don't understand what's been grafted onto it. They did this white wire here. This one. Let's see if I can get, not the one with the spay terminal. This grafted on wire is what goes to that light in the dash. So I don't know a lot about it. Two wires on the side here are for this little push button, which had to do with the fan in the front, the auxiliary fan. Didn't really need to worry about that. This little rocker switch, which was buried under the dash, I think is also auxiliary fan switch. I'll track that down a little more. Let's see if we can look up inside. Get a good shot. Next, I'm going to take the steering column out, give me a little better access. I think I'll basically pull the holders off the back of the gauges, which will let the gauges come forward, and I can see the wiring a lot easier than bending my head up and around, and hopefully the wires are long enough. I think that's how I'm going to sort through what's behind here with the steering column mount. We'll go from there. I think that's pretty much where I'm at the moment. I'll still continue on. And on the, let's see, on the throttle cable, it basically is set up like a Lotus Elite with same front and the ball on the other end. And it matches in layout and ends a Lotus Elite and a Clot with Strombergs. But it's longer. So it's a few inches longer and therefore different. I'm not sure how to match that to a different car, or maybe try to get it custom made, but it has to be replaced. That's part of this. And still looking to figure out this this decal here. Was it put on in New Zealand with the car? Was it put on in Maryland? I kind of suspect it was done in New Zealand. It says Bureau of something and an and sign. It's like a letter and an and sign, and then there's an F. See if I can hold the other hand here. There's an F up here, capital F. So this is an and sign. Bureau of something, and I think it was an A. And I don't know really what the rest of this is, but there's an F. Sorry for the shaking. But it has more to do with the engine than anything. VIN number engine, serial number. Don't know what the X and the C are at the bottom in the check boxes because I've never seen this type of decal before. But it has a serial number. So, and this decal was done by the EPA for it coming in the U.S. So we know what that one is. So I think that ends what I'm showing for today. I'll do some more work, do another part to this, and move on. Wiring continues. It's a good shot with the steering column upside down, the wires, and let's see if I can get this right. You'll notice off the back of the ignition switch, which is right here, the spade connectors, which go into, let's see how it comes out, well, those four. So those four spade connectors go with the four spades that are on the back of the switch. Of course, the colors are different on both sides, so I'll have to figure that out. And they're disconnected at the moment. They came out at disconnected. I don't know whether my hand up in there did it or it was done previously, but all four being disconnected, we'll see what all happens. I'll have to work out what wires go to what. And the hose to the defroster was badly mangled. It was dented and flattened, and so I just basically broke it out. It has to be replaced anyway. So I will continue on. I've pulled the tack and the speedo out, and no real surprises on the back of them. Just on the tack, just to show what's connected in the back there. What was surprising is, see those blue clips? Somebody attempted to tag on to the lights for the dash lights, you know, that are in the gauges. There's nothing coming off them at the moment. Maybe they decided it was a bad idea and took them off, but that's an interesting one. Then I have these two spade connectors, which were all tied up, and there's nothing that I can see that they would need to connect to, because they're not part of the, let's say, the other four down there. Sorry about the, they're not part of the other four for the ignition switch. So, and up inside, let's see if I can show it. Way up in there, you see, let's see if I can do this with my finger back up here. Right up here, all these connections are the voltage stabilizer. Is back up there. Now, of course, that, you see this black wire there, tied on. That's not good. That'll have to be addressed. So, there are things to take care of back there. And to trace out the wiring in the front and the wiring here so that it all works. What's on screen is the lighting for the gauges. And as I pointed out, these two pieces here have no idea why they were on, but that is not factory. So I understand this. I've seen so many of these connections, and yes, we're going to a different type of bulb than that style. And I can understand that connection. This connection here, see if I can do this with my hands here. This white wire does nothing. Don't know where it went, but it's been bodged on. That's the best way I'll describe it here. You You can see the insulation was pulled back, and this was attempted to be installed there. So not really good. You can see that in the exposed wire there, which would be normal, but that leads to corrosion, which leads to voltage drop, and lights don't get as bright as they used to be. But okay, these two wires go back to the connector under there. These three wires for the other 3 gauges are 4 gauges. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. I'm missing one. I'm missing a gauge. That goes 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I'm missing a light. It's possible. Oh, it's back under there. I see it now. Yep. So, yep, they're all accounted for. More mysteries of the electrical system. This is the heater valve from the 7. It's not normally what I see on other British cars that I have, but it is what was on the car. So, it was stuck, and I needed to get it at least working, see if it's salvageable. I know heat in a 7. Why am I worried about heat in a 7? Why am I worried about heater box? Well, it should work, and maybe the passenger that you have might want heat. So I don't tend to really drive it in the winter. With everything else there is drive, I can't see driving it in the snow and the ice and all in my area in the winter. But let's look at the heater valve. Basically it's cam action where let's see if I can get this right. This spin, all right, wrong spin. It's hard to do this with one hand. Anyway, this plunger goes in and out with this cam. Sorry, it's hard to do with one hand and it's spinning in the vise. So, basically, this is held on with, let's see, get it, this little spring nut. And as you activate it, this spins. This slider moves back and forth with the cam action and pushes this piston in and out, and that's your flow on and off. I took and put it in the parts washer and ran fluid through it, and when I had it on, only a trickle of fluid was coming out. And I tried doing some adjustments, and it's only letting a trickle of fluid through. And I think it should definitely open up and do more. And it can be opened up. So this, I did give some marks. If you see at the very bottom tooth there, I did a few little marks with the file so that I can index it for putting it back together. And in the very end here, let's see if we can point it out here. There's a dimple. There's actually 4 of them. And if you undo the dimples, the valve assembly should come out. And it'd be very difficult with the phone to show you, but looking in the opposite port, there is actually a clip that holds the seal in place. So I'm going to take this apart and see if it is salvageable. It'll give me an idea if I can fix it. If it's not, then I'm on the hunt for another one. Same thing, a replacement for future, but at least I'll get this out of the way. Small little thing a side thing on the car. I'll get back to doing the electrics here in a little bit, but I had to remove the hoses out of the bottom of underneath the dash anyway, and making room. I said, well, let's take a look and see if it works. I was curious. So that's where I'm at now. I'm going to use a punch and open up those pinch points and take a look inside, and I'll put this back on. It's apart. Look inside. It's filthy. I'm glad I am getting the radiator redone, because with the amount, do the amount of junk that was in the cooling system, definitely needed it. So basically, see if I can do it so differently, turn things around. Taking those 4 little tabs and bending them, tapping them straight. Then I was able to rotate the body and make sure it's freed up. And I tried to pull it out, wasn't working, so I took drift through the other end and tapped it slowly and easily till it popped out. So that is the seal. And with all that junk, that's why it wasn't flowing well. So yeah, I think it can be cleaned up, and we'll see how it goes. Let's see if I can get this to open up a little more. There's a spring. Amazing. A spring. Oh, look at the junk that fall out. I gather it could be running a lot easier on that spring, and it probably helps it to close. Or to open? Close? Close. Because you have to compress it. Yeah, okay. So this gets cleaned up and put back together, and see if it works after a bit. But that is the heater valve for anyone interested. And yeah, there is that little circlip that holds that on, holds the seal on, and the seal looks in pretty good shape. So and the metal in there, where the face where it goes down the seal, doesn't look bad either. So that's working. And we'll say the O-ring seal, this one, looks pretty good. So I think probably can go and get cleaned up, lubricated back up, and get back together. And I've got water pump grease, which I'll use on the shaft. And I don't know if there's seals, and there probably are seals inside this too. So see if by cleaning things up, get it out. And because I use water pump grease on the pre-war cars, because you have to actually keep filling the little pots with grease for the water pump to keep it working. It's not like a modern car with all the bearings sealed. You got to continue to pump grease in order to keep them sealed. Okay, that's where I'm at now. And the components are broken down. And you can see the shaft, little circlip that holds this on the end. And there is and that O-ring's in pretty good shape too. Clean spring. The cap, and there are 2, I don't know if you'll be able to see, but there are 2 seals inside of there that look pretty good. Inside there, I've cleaned that up, and that's the water pump grease that I use. So I'll put it back together now. The piston is back together, and it operates like it should now. Spring is working, and water pump grease is very nice. And now I'll put a little grease around the seals and put it back inside and see how it works. All back together now, and works pretty good. So, and there is a spring, so if you can overdo it, but I think as a maintenance item, a little oil or grease where all this movement is in the future would be good, just to make sure it does what it's supposed to do. But it won't close any more than that. And but I think it will work. I'd love to test it out, but to put it back in the parts washer and run fluid through it would just clean the grease out I just put in there. So I'm going to say this is good. I may get a hose later and try it that way, or do it inside in the sink. But I have confidence in it at the moment. After a small diversion to work on the valve, the heater valve. Back to the electrics. All of the gauges are now out. And I'm sorting through. I'm going to start sorting through the wiring to make sure what connects to where. And you might wonder, as everyone does, how do you know what goes back to where? Well, I have paint markers. A few different colors. So what I did is, let's say here, they're marked blue, red, green. And then what I did is took a zip tie. I put all those together on a zip tie. So I did that for all of them. That way, I know what bundle goes to what gauge. So, still, I do think that I'm going to, we'll say off camera, turn these into plugs. I have plugs. I have multi-plugs that I have for other things. I think I'll just turn them into plugs, make it a lot easier to get out, because right now I'd have to actually cut the wires to take the column out. So the plugs will at least make that easier and get that out of the way, and I can move on from there. But I think this is where I will end. I think 11. This will be episode 11. And as I work through more of this, I'll put it on one of the future videos. And you look for something coming out. I think the next I'm going to do a short. It's time to get back the chassis. I got 4 tires in, and I'm going to put them on the new wheels that are going to have it ready to go out for repair. So it needs 4 matching wheels and matching tires in order to make sure it can align once everything is repaired. So that's a little short one I'm going to do in the future. And I have tire machines here in the motor house. So, as I say, from the motor house, this will be it. Thank you for joining me on the restoration. And until the next episode.